Hey everyone, Al Fragnoli, League of Leaders. We've got a very familiar face on with us again, Dr. Will Ramey. Will's got an extensive background, military experience, leadership coaching, just a ton of great experience from you in the leadership area and leadership space. Dr. Will Ramey. Will, thank you again so much for coming on with us. We truly love talking to you and hearing your take on leadership. Thanks for being here.
I appreciate it. I am, I think I can say at this point in time, I am extremely happy to be a recurring guest on the show. Yeah, always a pleasure linking up.
Yes, well, we love talking leadership with you, and we love hearing some of your thoughts and ideas and suggestions. So, right now, let's chat just a little bit about performance management, maybe new leaders, emerging leaders, and how performance management really works with leaders.
Yeah, so it's a fascinating topic that I stumbled upon. So I was coaching some leaders throughout the year in their first 120 days, and I kept coming up on a theme of what was working well. They'd spend time getting to know their team members. They would spend time getting to know their peers. They'd spend time building those relationships. They'd also spend time learning the processes. But when I got to the point in the conversation about asking them, hey, what's something that's a roadblock for you right now? What's in your way? The majority of the time I would get back, well, I've got a person who's not performing very well, and I don't know how to have the conversation. So we would dive into that, and a lot of different difficulties came up. And what I found is it wasn't for lack of desire. These new leaders, most of them were within it was their first time being a supervisor. Again, so you have all this newness around you. They wanted to have a conversation. They knew they should have a conversation, but where they fell kind of short was, well, I don't know how to have it. How do I initiate that? What happens if the person doesn't respect me or like me after having the conversation? So we had a whole different talk about relationships and results and finding that balance. But what I was able to, kind of diagnose was, geez, these new leaders need to have a tool in their toolbox that allows them to have successful performance-based conversations with their teams.
See, Will, that's so interesting. When you're talking to these leaders and you're getting to know them a little bit and you're seeing what they're doing, and they're saying that they're spending time getting to know the people on their teams, getting to know the people that they work with. That's perfect. I think sometimes as leaders we forget that, and we always are looking at the numbers and what we have to do to get results. But the way we get those results is by getting to know our team on a personal level as well. So I love that you mentioned that, and it's so interesting because I hear this time and time again that people don't know how to have these conversations, right? If somebody's not performing up to what the expectation or the standard is, a lot of times leaders fear potentially having that conversation. And maybe it's a lack of confidence in themselves. Maybe it's they don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, right? We don't know what it is. Sometimes having those uncomfortable situations can be difficult. But as leaders, we absolutely need to have those conversations. Otherwise, we're not going to see a change in performance, right? So, Will, maybe you can kind of steer new leaders towards some tips. How can new leaders, emerging leaders really focus on being confident in having these feedback conversations? How can they really spend time and feel comfortable providing feedback to people that absolutely need it?
Sure. I'd love to share some thoughts on that. There is a cycle that new leaders can stick with, and a framework that they can utilize. So the first is understanding what right looks like. So once you identify that, geez, I've got a person on my team who's not really performing to the standard. They're not hitting the mark. You can dissect that with your observations of, is it behavior based, is it performance based, and then go from there. Whether it's do you need training, do you need is it lack of understanding, is it lack of caring, or is it behaviors of inappropriate conversations or lateness or what have you. So as our new leaders here are observing their environment and they see something that's not quite right, the next step that they can take is preparing for the conversation itself. I say that with a caveat: unless it's behavior that needs corrected absolutely on the spot, you can usually make time to prepare yourself to have the conversation. So what you want to do is gather specifics. What did you see? When did you see it? What was the circumstances? What was the environment around it? Be specific with the observations that you're making as you start to collect these facts around the performance management conversation that you want to have with your team member. So once you have that understanding and that preparation, if you absolutely need to, you can role play this with a colleague, with a peer, maybe with a coach or a mentor, and have that conversation with them prior to, right? So you start building that repetitive competency in the moment. And then I like to subscribe to a framework called the desk model. And this can be very flexible, and it can be applied to multiple situations. And I've shared this with those emerging leaders. They put it to good use and had positive feedback on it. So I want to share it with the listeners out there today. The first step is describe. So what you want to be able to do is you want to share what's happening, what someone is doing that's causing a problem. State facts, state no opinions, no disapprovals, and speak in terms of I. I observed you doing X. I noticed Y. So you describe the situation that you're in. The second is the effect, DE. The second E is effect. What effect or impact does the situation have on the organization or on you? When you do this, here's the impact it has. When you turn in your assignments late, it causes this. So think of it as the cause is what you're describing, and then the effect is the impact it's having. The next step as you're maneuvering through that conversation is to provide solution or suggestions. That's the S. What exactly would you like to have change? What does right look like? And be specific, right? So a suggestion I have for you is if you have a problem meeting a deadline, you bring it up during our startup conversation, you ask for help prior to, right? So you can start to give suggestions or a solution to what right may look like. And then the fourth step, the C, DESC, are the consequences. What good is going to come out of the situation if the person makes the change that you're asking? Or potentially what negative may come out of the situation if they can't make the change, right? So if you come in on time, we're able to meet our suspenses, work continues, the team performs. If you continue to be late, hitting suspenses, we have to shift the workload, we have to do rework, we have to reorganize, it costs time, money, etc. So when you have that framework, prior to the conversation, what I've even suggested brand new leaders is write those steps down. Describe, effect, solution, consequences. Jot down your thoughts for each one of those. And then when you're in the conversation, you can have that notebook, that notepad with you. What this allows you to do as a leader then is you have a framework where you have a complete conversation. You don't allow yourself to get derailed. And the person receiving that feedback on the receiving end is going to walk away understanding the entirety of the situation, what needs to happen, what they're responsible for, and how you can move forward together. So I've seen new leaders go in and try to wing it, and they come back with, I got 2 minutes in and I got derailed. The person came up with 15 different reasons as to why they are doing X, Y. I never actually got to the suggestions or consequences piece. Or were you prepped? Well, no, I thought I could, right? So until you make it a habit, using this framework, having the notes will help you build your routine. It'll help it become a habit, and it'll help you have full, complete conversations so you can manage your team without sacrificing relationships.
Will, I love the points that you made here. To me, when we talk about preparing for this conversation, the first thing that comes to my mind is it makes total sense, because whatever we're doing, work, personal life, whatever it might be, family, it doesn't matter. We're going to prepare for whatever we have going on, right? As leaders, that's what we do. We prepare. Well, it's no different than having the difficult conversations and providing the feedback to our teammates. We got to prepare for that as well. And so I love that last story that you shared when you had a leader that went into it unprepared, spent 2 minutes and totally got derailed, right? That would be like, to me, that would essentially be any other job duty that a leader might perform. If they're not prepared, they're more likely to get derailed from that. So I love that you shared that. You got to be prepared. Go in with confidence. I love the desk model that you shared. So much of that stuff makes total sense and is critically important. When we're prepared, when we have a system in place, it's going to help build our confidence, right? And we're not here to put down our team. We want to uplift them, and that's what these conversations are about. I think a lot of times leaders fear the conversations because they're afraid they're going to hurt somebody's feelings. They don't know how people are going to react to negative feedback sometimes. But at the end of the day, if a leader has a person's best interest in mind, these conversations become much easier. And the people and employees receiving the message on areas to improve will take it better when they know their leader cares about them. So, Will, love what you shared. As always, we love having you on. We love seeing that beautiful face of yours join us. We can't thank you enough. We know we're going to have you back on, hopefully, again, real soon to talk more leadership, but truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us.
Always a pleasure. I appreciate it. And I love the opportunity to help leaders get better. And remember, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Absolutely. Love talking to you, Will. We look forward to chatting with you again very soon.